In the city of San Antonio, known for its vibrant culture and historical landmarks, a dark incident unfolded on June 3, 1981. A young girl mysteriously disappeared, leaving the community in shock and concern. The following day, a tragic discovery was made in Comal County, Texas. A lifeless body bearing the signs of a violent crime was found. The victim had been shot multiple times in the head, and her clothes had been torn and removed. For 27 long years, the identity of this unfortunate soul remained a perplexing mystery. The case persisted, spanning 4 decades, until it finally reached its climactic resolution in 2023. One may wonder, what caused such a prolonged delay in solving this case? Why was the victim not identified for such an extensive period of time? San Antonio, being the 7th most populous city in the United States and the 12th most populous in North America, is a bustling metropolis with a rich colonial heritage. It attracts visitors from around the world, drawn to its iconic landmarks such as the Alamo, the Riverwalk, and the San Antonio Mission's National Historic Park. This city, known for its affordability and family-friendly environment, harbored a hidden darkness unbeknownst to many. During the 1970s and 80s, San Antonio became a focal point for numerous crimes, and this cold case became a part of the unfortunate series of events that plagued those times. On June 4, 1981, the partially clothed body of a young girl, estimated to be between 17 to 20 years old, was discovered south of New Braunfels, Texas. The location of the grim find was between the northbound access road and Interstate 35. Upon examination, it was determined that the girl had been strangled and shot 6 times in the head with a .25 caliber pistol, a weapon small enough to fit in the palm of one's hand. With limited information at their disposal, law enforcement authorities embarked on the challenging task of identifying the victim. Initially, the cause of death was not confirmed, but Comal County Justice of Peace R.G. Blanchard later clarified that the girl had succumbed to the gunshot wounds rather than the strangulation. The girl's attire was absent from the scene, leaving her with only a vibrant blouse, white socks, and her bra pulled behind her neck. Despite the initial examination indicating no signs of violation, the investigators held a different belief. They were convinced that the victim's body displayed clear indications of harassment and violation, suggesting that she may have fought fiercely for her life. 1 gunshot was found just above her right eye, while the other 5 were located behind and above her right ear. No weapons were discovered at the crime scene, leading the police to suspect that she had been murdered elsewhere and then dumped on the roadside. The Comal County Sheriff's Department made a plea for assistance in identifying the victim, but unfortunately, they received no valuable information. From the very beginning of the case, the top priority was to establish the identity of the young victim. In an effort to obtain a positive identification, DNA was collected from her fingernails, and a facial sketch was created and distributed on posters throughout the city. Despite exhaustive efforts to uncover her identity, the police were met with disappointment as no one in the area or nearby recognized the girl from the posters. Moreover, her DNA sample proved futile in identifying her, as DNA testing was not widely utilized at the time, leaving her true identity unknown and intensifying the urgency of the case. It was a sorrowful outcome for the officials that she had to be laid to rest in New Braunfels Cemetery, Texas, under the name Jane Doe. According to the police's theory, the young victim was abducted and subjected to sexual assault. When she resisted, she was strangled and shot. Her lifeless body was then abandoned on Interstate 35 near New Braunfels, Texas. However, their assumption lacked concrete evidence or any substantial proof. During the years 1976 to 1981, Interstate 35 in Texas was notorious for criminal activity. The hunting ground became a haunting reminder of the heinous crimes committed by a killer or killers who targeted vulnerable hitchhikers and stranded motorists. Over the course of 5 years, at least 22 innocent lives were claimed, including that of a young girl whose fate was intertwined with this grim tale. Initially, suspicion fell upon a notorious serial killer named Henry Lee Lucas, who had been on the loose and accused of numerous murders during that period. However, it wasn't until 2 years later, in 1983, that Lucas was apprehended and confessed to the young girl's murder. Alongside him, another serial killer named Otis Toole also admitted to a string of killings during that dark era. While Lucas received a death sentence for a separate homicide conviction, the subsequent retraction of his confessions in 1985 left several cases, including the unidentified girls, unresolved. Despite the renewed investigations following Lucas's acquittal in 1981, the search for the truth became increasingly challenging without knowledge of the victim's identity. Years passed, and the Comal County Sheriff's Department faced a multitude of perplexing mysteries with no tangible leads to pursue. All they possessed were the victim's DNA, a photograph, and the location where she had been left to perish. Even interviews with individuals in the vicinity yielded no plausible explanations. The case grew increasingly bleak, and hope began to wane. Eventually, the investigation went cold, though it remained open. Nearly 3 decades later, in 2008, the Texas Rangers Unsolved Crimes Investigation Program decided to revisit the case. While reviewing missing person reports, they stumbled upon one that matched the description of the victim from the 1981 time frame. Subsequently, the Texas Rangers met with the family who had filed the missing persons report, reigniting a glimmer of hope in the pursuit of justice. Sandra DeLeon, a resident of the West Avenue area in San Antonio, was the individual who filed the report. Upon seeing the victim's profile, Sandra and her family immediately recognized the 18-year-old girl as Carol, Sandra's older sister. This revelation provided the police with a renewed sense of hope. After conducting further DNA testing with the family, Carol's identity was officially confirmed. For 27 years, she had been known as Jane Doe until she was identified as Carol Joyce DeLeon in 2009. Carol was born on February 18, 1963, in Bexar County, Texas, USA, to Rodolfo DeLeon and Ramona Vara. She had a younger sister named Sandra, with whom she grew up. Unfortunately, there is limited information available about her family. Carol resided in the West Avenue area of San Antonio, Texas. On May 28, 1981, she graduated from Thomas Edison High School, just a few days before her untimely demise. Following her graduation, Carol found herself with ample free time and decided it was time to embark on an independent life. She discussed her plans with her family, who supported her decision to move out and start her own life now that she had turned 18. When questioned about Carol's whereabouts on the day of the incident, her family believed she had gone out with friends to spend the evening. The family did not file a missing persons report because they assumed Carol had followed through with her plans to move out. However, after not hearing from Carol for many years, Sandra, her sister, filed the missing person report in 2007. During the investigation and interviews with individuals who knew Carol, it was discovered that she had attended a nightclub in San Antonio on June 3, 1981. No one had any sightings of Carol after that incident, leading the police to strongly believe that she had gone missing shortly after leaving the nightclub. Despite the case going cold for 26 years, from 1983 to 2009, the police department received a breakthrough in the form of new DNA testing technology in 2010. This technology provided them with an unknown DNA sample extracted from the victim's body. The question arose, did this foreign DNA profile belong to her killer? The new DNA sample was entered into the combined DNA index system, but unfortunately no matches were found, as reported by the Texas Department of Public Safety. In an effort to gather more information, investigators shared details about the case on various websites and forums, urging anyone with knowledge to contact the Texas Rangers. A photograph of Carol and an unidentified male individual was also posted on the Texas Department of Public Safety website. Thanks to the assistance of the public, the male subject was identified and subsequently cleared as a suspect by investigators. However, his identity was never disclosed to the public. With no viable suspects, the progress in the investigation once again came to a standstill, and the case remained cold for the following 8 years. In 2019, investigators reportedly obtained another DNA sample, which was subjected to genetic genealogy testing. This testing identified 3 persons of interest in 2020. Further advanced DNA testing, funded by the Department of Justice through the Sexual Assault Kit Initiative program, was conducted. As a result, 2 of the initially suspected individuals were cleared and eliminated from the case. Upon closer examination of the DNA evidence through standard forensic testing, investigators finally obtained a positive match: Larry Allen West, a 68-year-old individual. In November 2021, investigators conducted an interview with Larry Allen West at his workplace. According to reports, he claimed to frequent bars in the area and engage with younger women, but he denied having any knowledge about Carol or her disappearance. In March 2023, investigators concluded that Larry West's DNA was the closest match to the evidence found on DeLeon's body. West willingly provided a DNA sample to aid in the investigation. During interviews with West's ex-wives, it was revealed that he had a history of violence. One of his ex-wives even recounted a disturbing incident where West allegedly assaulted and forced her into intercourse during their short-lived marriage. After 3 years of accusations and thorough investigations utilizing modern scientific methods, Larry West was finally apprehended by the police on June 13, 2023. He was subsequently booked into the Bexar County Jail on a $125,000 bond. However, West managed to secure his release by paying the required sum of money on Friday, January 14, 2023. It is important to note that West is scheduled to appear in court again to face murder charges. In 1998, the vibrant and caring Lisa Valdez, a software analyst from San Francisco, met a tragic end in her own home, leaving her community in shock. The horrifying discovery of her decomposed body, bearing 21 stab wounds, unveiled a brutal crime scene that haunted investigators for years. Despite the presence of crucial evidence such as DNA and fingerprints, the identity of her killer remained elusive for over a decade. It took a painstaking 13 years for justice to finally catch up with the individual responsible for her untimely demise. This chilling tale raises questions about what could have driven someone to commit such a vicious and personal attack on a woman known for her kindness and affection. Furthermore, it begs the question of how the perpetrator managed to evade justice for such a prolonged period, despite leaving behind significant evidence at the crime scene. Let us delve into the intricate details of this perplexing mystery. Lisa Christine Valdez, born on September 6, 1961, was a woman whose vibrant personality and caring nature endeared her to those around her. While little is known about her early life, at the time of the incident, she resided alone in a San Francisco condo. Her friends and loved ones often described her as a ball of energy, overflowing with kindness and affection. Little did they know that this compassionate soul would soon fall victim to a savage and senseless crime. On the evening of May 16, 1998, Lisa hosted a dinner party filled with laughter and good company. As the night drew to a close, her last guest, her mother Helen, bid her farewell and left around midnight. The following day, on May 17th, concerns arose among Lisa's friends and neighbors when she failed to attend her usual Sunday dance class. Upon returning from a weekend away, one of her neighbors noticed something peculiar about his own condo door. The lock had been tampered with, the metal frame was bent, and there was a peculiar mark, possibly stained with blood, on the door. Concerned, the neighbor reported the incident to the building manager without involving the police. Little did anyone suspect, behind Lisa's closed door, a tragedy had already taken place. On May 20, 1998, What was supposed to be a typical Wednesday morning turned into a chilling reality. Lisa Valdez's housekeeper arrived at her San Francisco condo, ready for her usual cleaning routine. However, when she attempted to open the door, it remained stubbornly stuck. Something heavy obstructed it from the inside. Peering through, she caught sight of what appeared to be a woman lying on the floor and heard a man's voice. Assuming she had stumbled upon a private moment, she hastily retreated. 2 days later, the building manager, alerted by a strong odor, entered Lisa's unlocked condo. Inside, he discovered her decomposed body, partially clothed and bearing multiple stab wounds. It was evident that this was no accidental or natural death. Inspector Ronan Schuldis, upon arriving at the scene, was struck by the brutality of the crime. Lisa had not only been killed, but also subjected to mutilation, indicating a personal vendetta against her. Notably, Lisa's family pointed out her unusually short hair, a departure from her typically long locks. They believed the killer had taken it as a macabre trophy. Examining the crime scene, investigators observed the apartment's disarrayed yet undisturbed state. There were no signs of a robbery or struggle, and nothing appeared to be missing. The puzzle deepened. Who could harbor such violent intentions towards Lisa, and what could be the motive? The evidence suggested a deliberate attack fueled by personal animosity rather than a random act of violence. As investigators delved further into the case, they faced the daunting challenge of unraveling the enigma surrounding Lisa Valdez's tragic fate. Detectives uncovered evidence indicating a struggle had taken place. Lisa valiantly fought against her assailant, resulting in defensive wounds on her hands and blood splatters around her bed. The scene was chaotic, with items like her bedsheet, pillows, and torn underwear stained with blood. Additionally, 2 Band-Aids were found in the toilet, likely discarded by the perpetrator, along with a partial fingerprint under the toilet seat. Despite exhaustive efforts to match the print to known suspects, no match was identified. Insights from neighbors further shed light on the situation. One neighbor heard a loud noise from Lisa's apartment in the early hours of May 17th, followed by slamming doors and footsteps downstairs. Another neighbor noticed a blood smear on Lisa's door, similar to one left during a nearby attempted break-in, raising suspicions. Lisa Valdez's autopsy revealed a grim reality. She had sustained 21 stab wounds across her upper body in a frenzied attack. The assailant targeted her chest, neck, jaw, and face within a short span of time, resulting in fatal injuries due to blood loss. However, due to the advanced decomposition of Lisa's body, crucial details such as the time of death and the nature of the physical assault remained unclear. With a plethora of physical evidence at the crime scene, forensic analysts faced the challenge of prioritizing items for DNA testing. Among them, the leading forensic scientist, Alan Keel, focused on pillow number 22, intrigued by its unique blood pattern suggesting multiple sources. By extracting DNA from the stains, he confirmed the presence of Lisa's DNA along with an unidentified male's, a potential breakthrough in the investigation. While analysts delved into the evidence, homicide inspectors Armand Gordon and Curtis Cashin meticulously interviewed witnesses, including guests from Lisa's final dinner party and individuals who had recent contact with her, in an effort to reconstruct Lisa's final moments, establish crucial timelines, and identify potential leads. As the investigation progressed, every detail unfolded like a crucial piece of a puzzle, guiding the diligent detectives closer to unraveling the perplexing mystery surrounding the brutal murder of Lisa Valdez. Inspector Cashin meticulously examined Lisa Valdez's answering machine, revealing a list of 40 recent callers. Among them was Albert Robinson, an acquaintance who had shown romantic interest in Lisa. Despite their past friendship and regular lunch or coffee meetings, Lisa did not reciprocate his feelings. However, Albert was swiftly eliminated as a suspect when his DNA did not match the evidence found at the crime scene. Another potential suspect, Albert Cato, had asked Lisa out on a date recently, but their plans fell through when Lisa stopped returning his calls, even though she had invited him to her dinner party. Albert Cato's DNA and fingerprints did not match those discovered at the scene. In total, inspectors investigated 10 male suspects, collecting DNA samples and fingerprints for comparison. However, none of them proved to be a match for the DNA found on pillow number 22 or the latent fingerprint on the toilet seat. Anthony Quinn Hughes, another individual who had been in contact with Lisa, had made 2 calls to her shortly before her murder, raising suspicions. However, unlike the previous suspects, he was not initially considered a suspect in her murder. Advancements in DNA technology eventually led to a breakthrough in the case. A new testing method called short tandem repeats was utilized to retest the DNA found on pillow number 22, generating a profile that initially did not match any in the database. Then, in 2011, a significant development occurred. There was a cold hit. This term refers to when a perpetrator is unexpectedly linked to a crime scene despite not being part of the current leads in the case. Forensic experts confirmed the match between the DNA on the pillow and Anthony Quinn Hughes, whose DNA was already in the database due to unrelated charges. The investigation took a significant turn when Anthony became the primary suspect, and his fingerprints were compared to the latent print found on Lisa's toilet seat. The match was unequivocal, as it belonged to the middle finger on Anthony's right hand, with identical features in crucial areas. This discovery marked a crucial moment in the case, pointing towards Anthony Quinn Hughes as the main suspect in Lisa's murder. The forensic evidence directly linked him to the crime scene, bringing investigators closer to unraveling the truth behind Lisa's tragic demise. The evidence against Anthony Quinn Hughes was compelling, leading to his arrest for Lisa's murder on September 10, 2011. During police interrogation, Anthony admitted to knowing Lisa from their teenage years, but claimed not to have had any contact with her since the late 1980s. However, when presented with the incriminating evidence, Anthony reacted violently, attempting self-harm with a pen while expressing a desire to end his life. Despite his attempts, the injuries were not fatal, and Anthony was formally charged with murder. The trial of Anthony commenced in December of 2015, with his defense arguing that his medical condition, myasthenia gravis, which caused muscle weakness diagnosed 5 years prior to the murder, made it impossible for him to overpower and kill Lisa. Although the condition forced him to resign from his job, proper medication could have put it into remission, allowing him to regain normal strength, despite some challenges with repeated arm and hand movements. His neurologist confirmed his physical capability. The defense also contended that Anthony's shoulder injuries prevented him from carrying out the stabbing. However, despite undergoing surgery for torn rotator cuff tendons, Anthony remained physically capable of heavy lifting. Testimony from Anthony's ex-wife corroborated his myasthenia gravis diagnosis, which had also affected his employment. However, there were no recollections of any incidents in 1998 that indicated Anthony had returned home injured or later than usual. Nonetheless, the prosecution aimed to dismantle these arguments and present a different perspective on Anthony's abilities and potential involvement in Lisa's murder. Throughout Anthony's trial, he vehemently denied any contact with Lisa or entry into her condo, asserting that the DNA evidence did not prove his guilt. However, the DNA discovered on pillow number 22 contradicted his claims, providing strong evidence of his presence inside Lisa's apartment. This inconsistency undermined Anthony's credibility, as did the evidence of his calls to Lisa's phone, despite his insistence of no communication. The prosecution painted a picture of Anthony's ongoing romantic interest in Lisa, even suggesting that they had met on the weekend of her death. Witnesses from Lisa's dinner party indicated that she had plans with an unidentified date, which could have triggered Anthony's anger upon rejection, potentially leading to her murder. While the exact events of that night remain unclear, testimonies suggest a possible motive behind Anthony's actions. Ultimately, the jury found Anthony guilty of first-degree murder for Lisa's death on November 4, 2016. However, they were unable to reach a consensus on the attempted charges due to insufficient evidence. As a result, a mistrial was declared for that count, and Anthony received a reduced sentence of 16 years to life for second-degree murder in 2018. Anthony appealed against his conviction, citing a 13-year delay between the murder and his arrest, arguing that it violated his right to a fair trial. He claimed that prejudice had tainted the case due to the prolonged delay, challenging the validity of his conviction. Maintaining his innocence, Anthony insisted that his DNA and fingerprint found at the crime scene were either planted or mistakenly linked to him. Nevertheless, his conviction was upheld, and he was sentenced to incarceration in San Joaquin County, California. In 2024, he becomes eligible for parole, but it is hoped that justice will prevail, ensuring he remains incarcerated. Anthony's objections notwithstanding, the evidence against him and the court's ruling remains steadfast, leaving lingering uncertainties surrounding Lisa's tragic demise. The apprehension of Anthony for Lisa Valdez's murder and attempted assault brought a sense of resolution for both the Valdez family and the detectives involved. Pam Hofsass conveyed appreciation for the forensic evidence that unraveled the case after more than a decade. Despite the anguish of their bereavement, the Valdez family embraced the arrest, finding some comfort in the eventual conclusion of the investigation. While nothing can bring back their beloved, the arrest signified a step towards closure in their mourning process.